How y'all doing today? It's your boy EatRightGuy, and for this video I'm gonna start a series of story times. It's gonna be a little less informative than my previous videos, and I'm gonna split it up into 3 parts. This first video is gonna be part 1, and it's gonna explain why I started cutting meats out of my diet, or how I started that lifestyle of being a vegan. And part 2 is gonna be what keeps me motivated and what keeps me following this lifestyle. And then part 3 is going to be what obstacles I faced while being a vegan, because it hasn't been perfect and there's been plenty of times where I thought about eating meat. All right, so to get things started with this part 1 of the video, I want to start off saying that I've been vegan right now for almost a year and a half. I started December 2015, so at the end of that month, I officially cut all meats out of my diet. And before then, I've actually tried doing that twice. I think the first time I cut meats out of my diet, I did it for like 2 weeks, and then I went back to eating meats. And then I tried it again, and I probably lasted 1 or 2 weeks. And it wasn't that I couldn't do it, it's just I didn't have the information to keep going, and I didn't really have the motivation to really make that much of a change. But one of the factors that really changed my outlook on things was that I used to work in a hospital, and if you had health insurance for that hospital, they had a program called Healthy Lives. And with this program, every year, if you meet certain qualifications like health goals, then they would reduce the cost of your healthcare bill every month. And so they would go in and they would check your blood pressure, they would check your blood sugar levels, your weight, your body mass index, etc., etc. And even though I didn't have health insurance with that hospital, I would still go and get like all my blood work and get all the testing just to see where I was health wise. And one thing that stuck out to me was that every time they would check my blood pressure, I would be in a pre-hypertensive range. And I didn't know why, because I'm healthy. I work out almost every day. I'm lean. Like, what is causing my blood pressure to be so high? I didn't know if it was genetic or not. And so what I would do is I would go online and I researched different ways of lowering blood pressure. And it was like looking at, and pretty much they say eat a better diet, exercise regularly. And I'm doing all this stuff, so why is my blood pressure so high? And then I discovered that blood pressure can rise if you have anxiety. And once I started noticing that I had high blood pressure whenever they would check it, whenever I would recheck my blood pressure, I would get anxiety, because I'm like, all right, let me calm down so the blood pressure reading will be in a normal range. But it still ranged in like 139 over like 80. And I just couldn't figure it out. And so I've always watched on YouTube nutritionfacts.org, Dr. Granger. I would watch his videos, but then I felt like he was too biased towards meat. And so I would watch his videos, but then I would take it with a grain of salt. I'm gonna be like, meat isn't that bad. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy his book to try to be more open-minded and try to really understand what he's teaching. And the book, How Not to Die. If you haven't read it, I truly recommend it. It goes through the different chronic diseases that plague most of Americans, and he pretty much goes into how you can reduce your chances of getting these diseases through nutrition. And the chapter that stuck out to me most was the chapter on hypertension, or high blood pressure. And after reading that chapter, he showed studies that have results of people that follow plant-based diets had lower blood pressures than people that ate animal products. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try this vegan thing out for real for 2 weeks. And if my blood pressure really drops, then I'm gonna continue following it. And so I did it for 2 weeks, still kept my workouts how they were. And then it was like on a Saturday morning after my workout, I went straight from the gym to Walmart. And in most Walmarts in the pharmacy section, they have a blood pressure cuff where you can check your blood pressure. And it was right after I had got out the gym. My heart rate was probably still pumping, and I checked my blood pressure, and it was like 110/70, and I couldn't believe it. I had to recheck it again because I was like, man, this really is working. Like, I was just pre-hypertensive, and now since I cut out all meats in my diet, now my blood pressure is like normal on the low side. And I just started reading more about nutrition and plant-based diets, book after book. I've pretty much read almost every book about plant-based diets. And for each book I read, it just motivated me to keep following the vegan diet. And then I also watched the documentary called Earthlings. And that's probably the most disturbing documentary I've ever seen in my life. I couldn't even watch the whole thing. Even people that I recommend that video to or that documentary to, nobody that I know can watch it fully through, and it's crazy. And then once I saw that was pretty much the icing on the cake to why I truly became vegan. And once I started doing it, I was like, once I realized that my blood pressure, that it was really having good effects on my blood pressure, I was like, you know what, I don't even care if I lose muscle since I'm not eating any meats anymore. And then once I started working out, after like 1 month, 2 months, I noticed that I didn't lose any muscle mass or strength. And so that's what really kept me going with following a plant-based diet. So stay tuned to part 2.